How much do you think the media influences you?
Not much.
Not much at all? Nothing you say?
Probably nothing.
You're your own person?
Yep.
Media has a big influence on everybody, you know, what people see, what people do. You know, if they see like music videos, they want to be just like them. So I'd have to say, yeah, it's a big part of everyday life.
You look at the commercials and basically the media is selling a product. Like, you know, you look at an Abercrombie commercial or something and you'll go be possessed to go out and buy a Coke commercial and, hey, I'm going to go drink some Coke, whatever. So the media definitely plays a big part in what you do in your everyday life.
I don't think it influences me in any way. I mean, you know, it's just entertainment and you choose, you know, if it's going to influence you or not. So it's just there to entertain us. It's not there to form our opinions or to, you know, I don't know, form our lives for us.
The media never says anything positive about our president, so it does warp a lot of people's minds. I think it's not fair.
The media is not always right about things, and so for an example, like the war in Iraq, they lied about a lot of things, and a lot of truth is not being told. I joined the Army about a year ago, and a lot of things are not saying what it really is.
When people watch movies, they think, oh yeah, that's cool, maybe I should go try it. So, but like some movies, it could have a good influence on them, like give them like a lesson, you know, so I think like part of it's good.
When people see things on like TV and news and movies, it like makes them interested in what they like see, and it causes them to want to act like that because it's like what they see and it's cool. So, but sometimes it's bad because they act violent and like stuff, so it's not good.
I have to disagree with that because I play a lot of violent games and I see a lot of violent movies, but I don't go around killing people and I don't go around hurting people. So I definitely have to disagree.
So you're saying that for smart people it doesn't affect them, but for young, impressionable minds it does?
Depends. I think it's all about the parents. Depends how the parents raise their children.
Do you believe everything you see or hear or read?
Sometimes stories or characters seem so natural, we forget they have been made up by a writer to entertain us.
It's tempting to view television and movies as depictions of real people and real events.
But the truth is that even stories about people who actually lived are told from one particular perspective, or artistic license is taken to highlight certain qualities or events.
So how are we supposed to sort out what's real and what's fiction? And what messages are actually being communicated? Which messages are life-giving and which should be discarded?
Critical thinking, challenging culture and media messages. That's what we'll be talking about today. Hi everyone, I'm Jack.
And I'm Cora.
And this is Real Faith TV. Today we'll be talking with Justin Fatika, campus minister of Paramus Catholic High School, and Alex, who has her own experience to share about how the media affected her life.
We'll also talk with our teens on the street and our studio guests about critical thinking and media messages.
But first, let's go back to the teens we met at the beginning of our show and find out what they think about the influence of the media in people's lives.
I think it's pretty hard because they make TV like more real than anything, so like we like think it's like the same thing as what we are.
For me, it's kind of hard, so.
But you said it doesn't influence you.
Not really, no.
But it's hard to differentiate?
A little. It creates, like you said, fads. You know, to be cool and like you're in like school or whatever, you have to follow these fads and like follow. It's like all the music play on MTV is the pop music on radio and whatever, and it doesn't really expose like everything in all the world that's out there.
Just like creating a big
It distorts your reality to a degree.
Yeah, it just creates like a big stereotype for people to follow.
I think people that aren't very strong in what they want can trade their desires for those of that in the media.
Yeah, for a lot of kids, because they see it so much that it just becomes a normal thing to them.
Well, for some young kids, you know, they might have a hard time understanding.
Yeah, because they put that spin on it. They put so much of a spin on it that it's hard to tell what's real and what's fake.
I think most kids would know, or most anybody would know, the difference between something that's real and something that's on the media. I think that's something that people grow up knowing and you're taught to learn.
If you really look at it closely, I think a lot of teenagers don't really look at things. They just go blah blah. They just live their life. They don't really pay attention as much. But some people, you know, they pay attention, they can tell the difference.
For some people it's hard because, I don't know, it's fantasy and reality. So a lot of people try to make them apart purposely because of like bad lives or stuff, and they just get so involved in their imagination that it just overcomes them.
Some of the teenagers seem to think that the media couldn't affect them, but a lot of them said that, yeah, it does distort your reality and it can affect how you think.
Let's see what our studio guests think about this. They are Ian, Anthony, Megan, Zoe, and Ross.
So what do you guys think? We know that we come into contact with media messages everywhere we turn, particularly in advertising. How much impact do you think the media has on teens today?
I agree with what the last guy said in the first roll-in about how, you know, he plays a lot of violent video games and it really has no effect on him, but he thinks that it would have an effect on maybe younger kids whose parents aren't, you know, involved in their upbringing and, you know, teaching them right from wrong and real from, you know, fake. And I think that so much of the blame gets put on video games and it's not fair.
I think that clothes, you get all your fads from the clothes they show on television, give you fashion shows and music videos and everything, and that's where most people get what they wear. So I guess the media does kind of affect you in that sense.
Also, I think it's really tempting to believe what the media says. We watch the news, we read the newspapers, we hope that it's objective, but there are chances that it's not going to be, and somehow it's slanted to convey one particular person's opinions.
Well, people like to think that, no, the media couldn't affect me, but I think a lot of it is you don't even realize it, but and you see like your favorite character on a TV show drinking Coke, you go and get a bottle of Coke, and you don't realize that you're being affected.
Right, like when you're reading the newspaper and you try to think, you know, oh, this is probably, you know, just one article, but it's some person writing their opinion on the article, on what really happened. So you're getting one person's opinion, not maybe the entire facts, just kind of like what they want you to see.
Like, I don't think it's just the news and everything, like TV shows and movies and all that. Everything in Hollywood, you know, it all has one purpose, to entertain us. Well, besides to make money, it's to entertain us. And I think that some people get confused between entertainment and reality.
Whether the messages communicated by popular culture and media are intentionally trying to influence what you do or not, they do have an impact.
Critical thinking is essential if we want to sort out the truth from the lies.
Let's go now to our spotlight guest, Justin, as he presents his take on the impact of media messages in our culture today.
Back in the day, the family was the one who influenced people. But right now, what you're looking at right now, me, the media, is what influences kids right now, 80%. It used to be 20% media, 10% maybe even 5%, and 80% family. But now, in this day and age, 80%, I believe, of the media influences kids today. The thing that's pumping it in the media right now is, which I mentioned a little bit already, is sex. The media pumps it. It's like this. John, I know, don't try to lie to me now, boy. Any man out there who's, let's be real now. Any man it's hard to be pure, meaning not go below the neck before you're married, meaning don't go on that internet and look at the porno stuff, you know what I mean? That's hard, right? That's hard not to do. So what they do is they pump sex, they pump lust, and then you're sitting there, oh man, I can't control it. So they're using you for money. See, Christ doesn't use anybody. Why would we want to follow someone that uses somebody? The bottom line is Christ's message says, I don't want to hurt you. I want you to go do something positive with your life to make a difference. The media says this, okay, I know where you're weak. I'm going to make money off of your weakness. You see those reality shows like an Average Joe or even a Survivor. You see on the show, they've got all these relationships, and yeah, they're making it real on the show about how this happens and that happens. And they're so popular because they're real on the show, but they don't show what happens after the show. What happened to Average Joe after the show? What happened to that girl that married this guy on the show, and what happened to their marriage after the show? You see, they don't show reality. They show 3 months of someone's life, but they don't show the whole life. That's not reality. You can call it reality all you want, but that's not reality. Reality is when you see somebody day in and day out, and God sees how they live after the show.
I think it definitely is hard to try to, keep hold of your morals and your beliefs with the media throwing so much stuff to you, and then, like he said, on reality shows, even regular television shows that we want to believe, showing how these people are doing all these things and they're fine. Like, none of the consequences that are really out there are happening to them.
That's, a good point, because you look at some of the reality shows that are out there now, and it's, who wants to marry this person, who wants to marry that person, but you see like a bunch of women, who aren't, acting probably, morally correct. Like, they're either A, just playing around with this guy so they can be on TV, or B, they're, acting very flirtatious so that, they get picked to win. And I definitely think that that's not what's going on in real life.
Yeah, they're always showing the parties and everything, and how people that age are always having a good time, when really it's not always about that. They're just always showing how things they just want to make their show look good, so they just show only the good things, and that's not what real life is all about. Yeah.
Well, as far as I'm sorry, Jack, you go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, as far as reality TV shows are concerned, like Ross said, with who wants to marry this person, who wants to be my dog's fiance, or whatever they got on these shows now. It's it's to entertain us. It's like one big circus act, just to keep us either laughing or to make us cry or whatever. But it's all just to entertain us.
But real life has its ups and downs. Like, you can't just look at a reality show and say, wow, that's like reality, because it's not at all.
Yeah, it's completely like, the name for it's terrible.
It's just a clever title to attract you.
Exactly. Who goes out like for 60 days in the woods and like tries to survive and be all right on their own? Like, that doesn't happen.
There's like a lot of creative editing. I mean, if they take, say, for something like Real World on MTV, if they're watching that, I mean, they don't use every minute of their lives. They take out the good parts and use, the stuff that's dramatic.
Right, like one day is like broken down in like 10 minutes of tape time.
Yeah, they even tell you on one of the interviews I was watching, they even say, this isn't exactly what happens, we just cut it down so that we can make a story out of it.
I mean, the name comes from it being unscripted, but I mean, so is Whose Line Is It Anyway, and that's not reality TV, It's all a game, and it's all to make money, and it's just, everything's cut and spliced. Nothing's actual reality.
Media messages not only affect us in the ways we think and act,
but sometimes influence how we relate to one another. Let's go to our spotlight guest, Alex, and listen to her experience of how media messages influenced her life.
I think the media influences the way we think and act because there are so many shows on today that depict teenagers who are rich and have a lot of money, and we just want to be that way. So we go out and buy clothes, and we go out and buy products that will make us feel like we can be those type of people. In middle school, I had a difficult time. I live in a pretty affluent town, and there were a lot of wealthy people, and I was never one of the people that were to go out and like buy Abercrombie and Fitch and all those types of clothes. I would just have regular clothes, but I would be made fun of because I didn't have like Abercrombie and Fitch and all these different things, and it made me feel like I wasn't as good as everyone else. The media affected the girls who made fun of me in middle school because they saw ads for things that were cool and popular, and if I didn't have those things, then I wasn't cool or popular. They had those things and I didn't. Media messages tell us that if we buy these products and if we lose weight and if we buy all this makeup, that we can really truly be perfect. And in our faith, we believe that nothing is perfect, and that's okay. So we shouldn't be carbon copies of people in the media, and we should just be ourselves and be who we are. I think that people fall for these images because it makes them feel like they're living a different life. Like, for example, the Bachelor shows, they are very fake and everything is set up, and we know that, but we just are drawn to it and we just want to keep watching because we just want to find out what happens and everything that's going on behind the scenes, but everything is really set up and fake, and that's not how life is.
It's pretty sad that if you don't have the cool type of clothes or what's in, you know, you're uncool and you get made fun of and everything, and the media totally influences that.
Given the fact that we are constantly being bombarded with messages, we need to look at the concrete ways to think critically about these messages.
One way to test cultural and media messages is to compare them to the gospel.
Another way is to look at what the media message leads to. Does it produce something positive?
Justin talked about the impact of families when it comes to steering clear of negative media messages. How important have friends, families, youth groups, etc. been in your lives when it comes to sorting through messages?
Well, my family's been really important because as like a young age, you were taught, you know, what's right and what's wrong, but they also taught, you know, what's reality and what's not reality. And, you know, watching movies, they would always say, because I used to be afraid, like, you know, somebody would get shot, I'd be like, ah! But, you know, they used to be like, it's only fake, you know, he's really alive, you know, don't worry about it. So I think I learned at a young age, you know, the difference between reality and, you know, Hollywood reality.
I definitely learned the difference between reality and non-reality movies and everything, but with these new reality shows that they show people like trading spouses or like going out on a desert island and surviving, your parents didn't exactly warn you about that kind of stuff, like say, like, that's not real. Well, when you were like little and you were watching that stuff. So I always thought that was real until like a year ago. And I think it's harder to separate between reality and not reality when it comes to like these new shows that are so real and in your face, like this is what's real, that it's hard to understand like that's not real and everything.
Yeah, like when me and my friends are just hanging out, just watching a movie, we'll be watching it and like we'll see like two guys getting blown up or something, and then they get back up and start fighting each other. We'll all be entertained, but we just look at each other and be like, yeah, that's not gonna happen in real life.
Exactly. Like my family and I, we watch reality TV together sometimes, but we all make fun of it. You know, we laugh about it because we know it's so outrageous that it would never happen in real life, but it's still entertaining.
And so often, like, reality TV shows are just sending you the worst possible messages. Like there was a recent one, there was like really extreme makeovers and stuff. There's actually a few of those out there.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, no, we're gonna take you and we're gonna make your life so much better because we're gonna give you all this plastic surgery, which really could, you know, like backfire and ruin your body and your life.
And if you think
it's gonna make you happier.
Yeah, and if you think about it, it's really cruel because they're calling you ugly and you need to look a certain way to fit this media image.
Exactly. I think a lot of reality TV is very materialistic.
And if you notice in these makeover shows, when they come out, no matter what they look like when they come in, they all come out looking kind of the same. Like there's one beauty thing that's how people should look like.
This one particular image, which is really just a fashion that's set by the media.
It's essential to be discerning when it comes to media and cultural messages, especially as Christians. But we are not called to be passive recipients in our culture.
We can use the media to communicate positive messages, particularly the gospel. We can truly be salt and light in this world.
Let's go back to our spotlight guests, Alex and Justin, and find out what they have to say about finding a voice in today's media-saturated culture.
When you see something that you do believe in or you don't believe in, just write to the producer, write to the editor, write to whomever, and you can just get your ideas out there, and that'll really make a difference maybe in how they write the magazine or how they produce the show, and maybe they'll get more viewers and it'll become a more positive thing. Well, I think a good reality show would be if we as a church, like our youth ministry, if we were to go and build houses somewhere, and whoever like built the most houses or painted the most rooms or something like that, they would win. And maybe we would win a prize, but we would be helping people in the process of having a contest or whatever. And it would just be a reward for those people to have something that we've done for them, because we have so much and other parts of the country have so little, and it's only right for us to give of ourselves so that they can have something. And people are in the media are making so much money, and that money could be doing so much good around the world, and we could start programs so that people wouldn't be starving. And we have things like that, but we just need to give of ourselves a little bit more.
So these girls aren't dancing, you know, touching themselves like MTV and pulling everything out. What they're dancing to is to Christian hip-hop and R&B, trying to bring the gospel of Christ in real ways.
Shout out to the whole industry. I was raised by this industry. This industry raised me, but I was changed, and now I came to change the industry. Check me out, feel me?
Also, we're working on a record label called Hard as Nails Records, and that's promoting any rappers. If there are any rappers out there, get a hold of me, contact me. We're looking for rappers that can rap the message for Christ. We'll support you, we'll fund you, we'll help you out. We're trying to go out there and use rap, use dance, and use real ways to challenge people to come to Christ. You see, back in the day, St. Francis, you know the garbs he used to wear? You know the smooth, you ever see those brown garbs? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. You know why he wore them? Because back in the day, ordinary people wore those things. I want to start seeing some priests coming out with like jerseys on. You like have a whole bunch of priests with jerseys, or a bunch of real ministers of the Lord wearing jerseys for Christ. Because what we try to do is we try to dress like the world, not in impure ways, of course, but dress like the world, use the way the world does things so we can bring others to Christ, but do it in the positive ways, not the negative ways. So that's what dance ministry is about, Hard as Nails Dance Ministry, the Hard as Nails records that we're promoting.
I like what Justin was saying about using the media and using our culture to try to bring other people closer to Christ. I mean, that's what a lot of youth groups and a lot of youth ministry is all about. It's about trying to relate to people so that they can actually understand what we're saying.
Because you don't want to be totally out of the times when you're talking to the people who don't know anything about Christianity. You want to get in with them and have a common ground that you can relate to them with.
Especially as teenagers, you know, we have a really big power because we can kind of, by our choices, dictate how companies are going to portray certain things. For instance, if, you know, as a group of teenagers, we don't support, you know, a clothing company that, you know, maybe has negative ways of producing their clothes, then they're going to change their practices because they won't be making any money off of us.
Well, there's actually this girl who wrote a letter to a clothing company saying that their clothes, she didn't want to wear them because they made her feel self-conscious, and she didn't want to wear like the short skirts and everything. And so she wrote them a letter, and they came out with a new line of clothes that didn't like make you feel self-conscious or something when you wore them. And so, you know, we can influence what like the fads are and everything.
That's definitely true, and I really like what Justin's trying to do with send a new media message, you know, get a new message out there so it's not like the same old, you know, shows that you're watching on TV. You know, you could watch something different and hear, you know, the gospel of God, you know, all in one sitting, so you kind of get like the best of both worlds. And, you know, I think that if you can get it going, I think that'll be really great for society.
And I think that it's important for like some people to realize, like that girl wrote into the clothing company, the media isn't necessarily, it's not like they're evil, they're people like us, but the whole business is about making money. It's not supposed to be taken seriously, and it happens, it is taken seriously, and it does affect us, but that's not what it's there for. And it's not evil to watch movies, and it's not evil to like clothes that happen to be designer brands, but you need to just realize that it's not the most important thing, and you always have to keep your priorities straight and not let it affect you.
Exactly, but of course there are positive messages that are also conveyed through the media, which I think it's important to keep in mind.
Yeah. And you know, like the clothing lines and everything, it's like a chain reaction. The movies, they show these people wearing these clothes and everything, and then the clothing companies come out with these clothes and everything. So it's like, it all like goes in a circle. Like, if you're able to change one thing, then you can change them all.
But it is meant to be fun too, though. I mean, you know, you watch a movie, the whole idea or reason you're going to the movies, you're not going to see, you know, what some certain superstar's wearing or how they're dressed or what their hair is in the movie. You're going to be entertained. You want to, you know, laugh or cry or, you know, depending upon what movie you're going to see or what genre you like. And I think that's a huge part too in conveying messages, because depending upon what movie you're watching, you're going to get different messages sent to you.
Remember, advertising, TV shows, movies, even news broadcasts are purposefully constructed to appeal to your fears, your needs, and your dreams.
They seek to influence the way you think about the world, and especially how you can get what you want.
But beneath the promise of satisfying all your needs, advertisements exist to sell you something. It's their job to convince you that you can't live a life, at least one that's worth living, without their product.
Or that you must be crazy if you don't share their particular point of view.
What's your view on media messages? And how does your faith come into play? We want to know.
Contact us through our website.
The address is www.realfaithtv.com.
Or you can call us at area code 609-406-7402.
Christians believe the source of the truth is unchanging. Jesus said to the Apostle Thomas, "I am the way and the truth and the life."
Christ is the truth, and so we must find ways to test the competing messages to see if they are consistent with the teaching